So now let's learn about chlamydia. The chlamydia are a small group of non-multicoccoid bacteria that are obligate intracellular parasites of eukaryotic cells. Chlamydia cells are unable to carry out energy metabolism and lack many biosynthetic pathways. Therefore, they are entirely dependent on the host cells to supply them with ATP and other intermediates. Because of their dependence on host biosynthetic machinery, the chlamydia were originally thought to be viruses. However, they have a cell wall and contain DNA, RNA, and ribosomes, and therefore are now classified as bacteria. The group consists of a single genus, Chlamydia. This genus contains the species Chlamydia trachomatis and Chlamydia cytici, as well as new organism, the Chlamydia pneumoniae. All three species cause disease in humans, and Chlamydia cytici infects a wide variety of birds and a number of mammals, whereas Chlamydia trachomatis is limited largely to human. Chlamydia pneumoniae has been found only in humans. There are three main clinical manifestations for chlamydia. The first one is ocular infection. The Chlamydia trachomatis causes trachoma and inclusion conjunctivitis. Trachoma is characterized by the development of follicles and inflamed conjunctiva. The cornea may become cloudy and vascularized. Repeated infection are a common cause of blindness. Inclusion conjunctivitis is a milder inflammatory conjunctival infection with purulent discharge. The second clinical manifestation is genital infection. Some Chlamydia trachomatis strains cause genital infections, including non-gonococcal urethritis in men and acute salpingitis and cervicitis in women. Other strains cause lymphogranuloma venereum, a venereal disease with genital lesions and regional lymph node involvement. And the third clinical manifestation is respiratory infection. Chlamydia cytici usually causes an influenza-like illness called psittacosis. Chlamydia pneumoniae causes atypical pneumonitis in human. Now let's learn about pathogenesis of chlamydia. Chlamydia have hemagglutinin that may facilitate attachment to cells. The cell-mediated immune response is largely responsible for tissue damage during inflammation. Although an endotoxin-like toxin has been described for the host defense, the antibodies develop during infection, but they do not prevent reinfection. The precise role of cell-mediated immunity is still unknown. Now let's learn about the epidemiology of the chlamydia. The trachoma occurs worldwide and is prevalent in Africa and Asia. Chlamydia trachomatis usually is inoculated into eye by contaminated fingers or fomites or in neonates by passage through an infected birth canal. Genital infections are spread venereally and respiratory infection usually by inhalation. For cytocosis, it is acquired from infected bird. The clinical presentation of the chlamydia infection is often diagnostic. The diagnosis may be confirmed by serology such as complete manifestations or microimmunofluorescence tests on sera or tests. Now we're going to learn about chlamydia trachomatis infection. The trachoma Chlamydia trachomatis infections of the conjunctival epithelial cells results in subepithelial infiltrations of lymphocytes, leading to the development of follicles. The infected epithelial cells contain cytoplasmic inclusion bodies. As a result of damage to epithelial cells, fibroblasts and blood vessels invade the infected area, a pannus form, and the cornea become vascularized and clouded. The eyelids become scarred and malformed, causing trichiasis and abnormal inward growth of eyelashes. Continual scraping of the cornea by the eyelashes leads to corneal opacifications and blindness. The Chlamydia trachomatis also causes inclusion conjunctivitis and in eye disease of children and adults that is milder than trachoma. It consists of purulent conjunctivitis that heals spontaneously without scarring. Chlamydia trachomatis also causes sexually transmitted genital and rectal infection. The frequency of Chlamydia trachomatis infection in men may equal or exceed the frequency of gonorrhea. Non-gonococcal urethritis, epididymitis, and proctitis in men can result from the infections of Chlamydia trachomatis. Superinfections of gonorrhea patient with Chlamydia trachomatis also occurs. Acute salpingitis and cervicitis in young women can be caused by Chlamydia trachomatis infection ascending from the cervix. A high-rate genital tract co-infection by Chlamydia trachomatis in women with gonorrhea has been reported. Chlamydia trachomatis was isolated from the fallopian tubes of infected women. In one report, Chlamydia trachomatis elementary bodies attached to spermatozoa were recovered from the peritoneal cavity of patients with salpingitis. Neonates exposed to the Chlamydia trachomatis and infected birth canal may develop acute conjunctivitis within 5 to 14 days. The disease is characterized by marked conjunctival erythema, lymphoereticular proliferations, and purulent discharge. Untreated infection can develop into pneumonitis. This type of pneumonitis occur only during the first 4 to 6 months of life. Now let's talk about Chlamydia psittaci infection. Chlamydia psittaci infects birds through the respiratory tract. Humans exposed to dead or living infected birds may develop fever, a mild influenza-like disease, or toxic fulminating pneumonitis after an incubation period of 2 to 4 weeks. Chlamydia psittaci can cause pneumonia in cats and sheep as well as in humans. Other strains of Chlamydia psittaci can cause abortions in animals. And finally, let's learn about Chlamydia pneumoniae infection. Recently, a new Chlamydia strain designated as Chlamydia pneumoniae serova TWAR organism that spread from person to person in human population, but many more is still need to be revealed. There's no much information on this Chlamydia pneumoniae.